The room fell silent the moment she walked in. Dust floated in thin shafts of sunlight slicing through the cracked blinds of the briefing hall, and the air was thick with unease. She had no uniform, only a faded jacket and boots that had seen better days. The general, stern and unbending, didn't bother to hide his contempt. "You don't belong here," he snapped, his voice echoing off the cold stone walls. He ordered her out in front of everyone, a dismissal sharp enough to cut her pride to pieces. "Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening." She stood frozen for a heartbeat, shame burning her cheeks, but something inside her refused to bend. With trembling fingers, she reached into her jacket, pulled it open, and revealed the metal pinned to her chest. The glint of bronze caught the light, and a ripple of gasps moved through the soldiers. It wasn't just any decoration, it was the kind of metal spoken of in whispers, the kind given to those who had bled, sacrificed, and stared death in the face for the sake of others. The general's jaw tightened, his eyes narrowing as if trying to reconcile the figure before him with the legend the metal represented. A murmur ran through the hall. Some soldiers shifted uncomfortably, others straightened with newfound respect. She said nothing. She didn't have to. The metal spoke louder than words ever could. Inside, her heart raced, every nerve screamed to flee the humiliation. But another voice, the one born from nights of firefights and loss, told her to stand firm. She remembered the sound of helicopters in the dark, the acrid smell of smoke, the weight of a comrade's body she had carried to safety when no one else could. That metal wasn't given. It had been earned with scars that still ached when the weather turned cold. The silence stretched until the general's command seemed brittle, almost hollow. He tried again. "Medals don't buy you a seat in this room," he muttered. But even he sounded less certain. The soldier's eyes were on him now, questioning, waiting. She met his gaze, steady, unflinching. She thought he would dismiss her again. She thought he would double down on his pride. She was wrong. For in that moment, something shifted. The general saw not a stranger, but the reflection of every soldier who had carried burdens heavier than their own strength. He saw courage wrapped in humility, pain wrapped in silence, and with a sharp breath, he turned away from her, only to face the men and women gathered. "Respect," he barked. Softer than a command, louder than an apology, the hall erupted in applause, not thunderous, but deep, reverent, rising like a tide. The sound filled the hollow spaces where scorn had lingered. She didn't smile, her eyes shimmered, but she held herself tall, steady. Dignity was her only answer. Yet within her, a storm of questions churned. Should she forgive the insult so quickly? Should she walk away, proving that her worth wasn't theirs to measure? The weight of the choice bore down on her, until she saw the younger recruits, their eyes wide, their respect undeniable, and in them, she found her answer. She would stay, not for the general, but for those who needed to see that strength could wear humility, that scars could wear medals. Because courage doesn't vanish, it waits, and it finds its way back. The same sunlight that once made the dust visible, now seemed to fall on her alone, as if the room itself knew she had claimed her place. The dismissal that began her morning was now the silence that crowned her resilience. And so the story that started with rejection ended with reverence. The general's voice had tried to cast her out, but her mettle, her sacrifice, her unshakable dignity, they wrote her back in, forever. If this story moved you, share your thoughts below. I'd love to hear how it touched your heart, and if you believe stories of courage and respect should never be forgotten, make sure to subscribe, because more tales like this are waiting, just for you.